Hey, Ryan Michael Galloway here with WeDon'tNeedNoStinkingRecordCompany.com, and we're with Dave Williams from Vault Studios in Houston, Texas. And one of the services that Dave offers that I have used, as a matter of fact, with great results, is mastering. And what is mastering? Mastering is kind of your final step before you send it. And again, Dave, correct me if I say anything wrong, but here's my understanding: is a final step that you send a recording through before you actually send it off to be pressed. It's where the thing is optimized so that it sounds as good as it can on as many different systems as possible. Things like the Recording Industry of America, or RIAA curve, it's an audio spectral curve, are brought into the thought process, and that's everything kind of comes up to that standard. And the question is, will the recording come up to that standard? Will the recording sound good on a big system and a small system? Yes, it'll sound different, but what will it, how will it sound on all these different systems? And can we adjust it to make sure that it does? Now, Dave, you master recordings. That's one of the things that you do. It is a service that I'll say anybody out there, home recording or not, if you are getting ready to put something out on a CD, send it to Dave or somebody like Dave and have them master the recording. And Dave is quite reasonable and he's really good. So can you give us a little discussion about it? Is it just an adjustment of the graphic EQ, or is there more to it than that? And maybe you just talk about mastering in general, and a fairly short conversation, but tell us a little bit about mastering if I haven't told it all already.
Well, you basically said it all, Ryan. No, I remember. No, what you said is correct. There are a couple of things that would be considered additionally. It's not just the EQ. If you're going to master one record, it makes it a lot easier. If you have one song going to radio, you master it. I would master it with keeping in mind whether it's going to terrestrial radio, where they compress a lot of material before it goes out on the airwaves, or internet radio, where it's a bit more forgiving and they'll use a lot of different formats. But the idea is whether you have a home studio recording or you record it at a major room, with an engineer, a lot of times, engineers may not capture the essence of the group or your sound, or there could be some little tweaking that could be done to get a little bit more definition out of the sound, particularly with basses that tend to be muddy, thick and muddy. Mastering will help clean that up through EQ. Through the EQ, you can, and I find that a lot of folks tend to not pay much attention to a lot of the upper mid-range frequencies that sometimes bring the definition out in a sound, like strings or horns or certain types of guitars, even vocals.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed on my recording, if you can still hear me, on my recording, one of the things you did is you brought out the vocal. If it was me, and I've got very limited knowledge of this stuff, I'd go to about 1,000 and I would boost that, and the vocals usually just kind of jump out. But you were thinking that it's that I'm doing more singer-songwriter kind of stuff, and you wanted the lyrics to come out a little bit more, so you brought my voice out a little bit more. And this is something that's already mixed, and magically you can do that.
Well, it's just by how you manipulate the EQs. And sometimes what I do is subtractive equalization. Instead of just continually adding different frequencies, I take away from others. And the idea is to, with your song, I wouldn't care if you're the lead guitarist in the band, if you're also the singer, it's equally, if not more so important to hear the vocals. So through the use of EQs, usually with male voices, keep in mind a lot of folks don't realize that the human voice will go down to about 300 hertz, which in the bass in the bass frequencies. You sometimes may want to warm that up a little bit just to get a little bit more volume, and then maybe touch on the high end, on a male voice somewhere in the 2200K zone. You tweak that a little bit, maybe a dB or two, and you can start to hear a little bit more definition in the sound, where you can cross the T's and dot the I's, and now it allows you to hear a bit more of the vocal, which is what what you're selling.
Yeah.
In most cases.
Yeah.
Even with the instrumentation, you know, if the song, a lot of folks who have home studios mix on very small speakers, and they try to crank it up and hear enough bass to replicate a well-equipped car or some club sound. You're not going to get it that way, and you wind up putting probably more mud on the track than anything else.
Yeah.
I tend to, in the mastering, and I don't mind telling certain people, you know, this, you may want to roll off a lot of the bottom end, like below 50 hertz. You know, just shelve it a little bit, you know, knock it down 4 or 5 dB. Believe me, you're not going to lose your bass sound, but you're going to clean up the frequencies that most of us hear anyway. You know, most of us haven't got speakers that go down to 20 hertz, you know, and you want to just have a good enough sound. Keep in mind, all you producers out there who are selling records, when you walk into an office and you hear a radio on very soft, that's probably somebody who's listening to the radio station and it's very quiet. At that very soft level, you should be able to hear everything. Be able to hear a little bit of the bass frequencies. You need to hear the hi-hat, the guitars, the lead guitars, what's panned left, what's right, the vocals, because that's what's going to sell your record. It's not the folks who go into the nightclub. It's the folks who listen to the radio, and then on their lunch hour, they go to Target or one of the stores that sell CDs, and they buy your CD.
We're losing you a little bit, Dave.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Yeah, we were losing your volume just a little bit there. So.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying that, you know, when you mix your records, you know, when I was just saying about mix it very softly, because generally, if you don't have a very huge system at home to monitor on, like I'd like to think I have a very decent system at the studio where I can crank it real hard and kind of replicate a nightclub sound, but then I can also mix it very quietly to replicate what you're going to hear when you go into into any office. You go into your insurance company and the radio's playing very softly, and it's a quality artist with a quality mix. You can have that same kind of quality. First have to pay attention to your initial mix so that when the mastering engineer gets a hold of it, he can really make it shine, and then you start to hear frequencies and things that you may not have paid attention to before in your record.
Very good. Well, Dave, I'll tell you, I can't thank you enough for sitting with us and talking to us about all this stuff. I think it's going to help the folks that watch my video blogs a whole bunch in getting that sound that they want, particularly around drums, because we've been talking about that for several nights. And I'm hoping that you'd be willing to come back another time, a few weeks down the road, and do another segment on some of the other instruments. I've had very specific people say, you know, I'm really after, quote-unquote, that sound. They haven't been too specific about what that sound is, but maybe we could talk about a number of that sounds for bass and for guitar and for keyboards and things like that at another time. But thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, Ryan, believe me, I'm a big fan of yours. Any way I can help out or pitch in or just get the word out on how to make good music, always keep me in mind. Give me a call.
Awesome. Well, I sure look forward to getting to work with you again. I know you're coming back up to Dallas at some point too, so maybe we'll get together and do some face-to-face interviews. Everybody can see you a little bit. But all right, awesome. I am Ryan Michael Galloway. I'm with Dave Williams from the Vault Studios down in Houston, Texas. And of course, I'm with We Don't Need No Stinking Record Company.com.